This is the portal.
The story begins 8 years ago in 2000. The spirit molecule.
This is the story of DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, a molecule with a complex name and the simplest ability to unlock the door to another dimension.
DMT, the spirit molecule, you know, it's a conundrum, it's a paradox.
It's amazing that we have a molecule in our brain and throughout our body that is the most potent hallucinogen that we know.
Why is DMT in our bodies? Why is it in plants, in all sorts of mammals? What is the role it plays in humans?
Between the inhalation and the exhalation, they were then transported into, whatever it is, or wherever it is that DMT leads people.
I would have expected that I would see angels and fairies and not alien life forms.
Are these experiences spiritual experiences or otherwise? Are they created by physiological processes, or is the brain itself responding to something that's going on?
What do these experiences say about the nature of reality, the nature of our minds, or the function of our brain that we can so quickly shift into these alternate realities?
The frames we use to understand our world are arbitrary.
DMT is a forcible reminder that there's a lot more about reality, the universe, ourselves, the biosphere, whatever, that there's a lot more to it than we imagine.
So Mitch, what made you want to make a movie?
A movie or a DMT movie?
Let's start with your interest in film.
I think in general, it's just always been a love of, from art, music, storytelling from an early age. And it's, I was enthralled with just how storytelling in general, and what that kind of conjured up and how it got me excited, and just, the human emotion tied into that. I'd say that was kind of the push to go that direction. So
what made you choose NYU as a film school?
Well, I actually did the program ITP, which is the Interactive Telecommunications Program. Took some of the film courses there, but it was really just to come to New York. I'd always wanted to, and I knew I wanted to go to grad school here, and it's like that's probably my spot, and it happened that way. So yeah, it was great.
Right on. Now the question everyone wants to know: why a film about dimethyltryptamine?
Oh, well, the simple answer to that is my first experience. As soon as I came back, it was almost instantaneous. I was like, I'm going to make a movie on this, and it resonated that quickly. But at the same time, it was the only substance I'd ever tried in my life that I didn't want to touch again, at least right away. And that initial thing was just to go out and research as much as I could. But that was really the impetus to go out and do it. And then when I was doing my research and came across Dr. Strassman's book, that was really what kind of solidified how this was going to be told, or how the story would be told. So.
And had you read Dr. Strassman's book before your first experience?
I had not, no. And that, in some ways, I think was great. Not having any, and I didn't have any context for DMT whatsoever. I had never heard about it, and I'd had other psychedelic experiences, but I guess, and it's probably the better way to do it, I guess, just not having any, anything to base it off of, and it definitely left me speechless in a lot of ways.
So after your first experience, how many people did you know to whom you could relate that had context so you could communicate about this experience?
Nobody. I mean, that's the interesting thing, is that it's beyond kind of how we can describe things. But yeah, I just started talking to people and really seeing. I was surprised at how many people didn't know about it, but I was also surprised at the same time how many people did know about it once I started kind of getting into it and digging up some of the information. But yeah, I think just going through those, reading trip reports, talking to people, Dr. Strassman, the different people that we've interviewed, at least started to give it a little bit of context, but it's still that same thing of it's just so hard to put into words and really wrap your head around in any sort of kind of human reality construct. So
what was the first time frame that you recall that you thought, I'm making a project, and you started taking steps forward?
With the film itself, or well, that's a good question. I think it was 2002 was the first experience. I'd say 2006. Is that right, Rick? When I first contacted you, I think it was at the end of 2005, maybe the beginning of 2006.
Yeah,
so.
It came out in January.
Yeah. Well, no, so it was 2006. It was December 2005, because I contacted you then. It was about a year that we talked about putting it together and like discussing, okay, legality and things like that. And then yes, January of 2007 came out and then started shooting. So it's, from the time I smoked my first DMT, it's been an 8-year process. 5 minutes, so.
I think we first met you back in October 2007 or 2008.
Yeah.
Because I have a copy of your original business plan. That's March 2000.
Nice. I haven't seen this in a while. This is really, it's been great.
And I remember meeting you and thinking, wow, this is really well put together. This is really well organized. I saw some of the footage of my birthday party, and I thought, wow, how long is it going to take? It takes 6 months to get the rest of this film out. Tell me about some of the challenges and the struggles that took place over the past 4 years. Sure.
Well, there were a lot of struggles, roadblocks, things that would come up along the way. I think one of the biggest things that I noticed, especially taking the business plan out to people, is the knee-jerk reaction that is still out there in society about what these things are, and just kind of misinformation that has been put out there, and it's a strong reaction from a lot of people, and I think understandably in a lot of ways, but that as soon as you say anything psychedelic, they tend to run the other way, especially investors, and that just trying to find the money to go out there and do it was tough. But I would say overall it's just been a wonderful process. I mean, even going out there and doing that, spending hours, sitting in front of the computer and editing and looking at all this footage, little things popping up here and there. It gets stressful at times, but for the most part, it's been amazing. Wouldn't change any of it. So.